All right, now we're recording.
Oh, geez. Oh, God. I'm exposed.
Exposed.
I'm just saying, Suns Out, Guns Out, that'll definitely bring in
There you go.
viewers.
I don't think our viewers want to see all of this.
Oh,
Yes, they do.
I think
Yes, they do.
specifically one viewer wants to see all of this.
I mean, yeah.
And she doesn't like to share, so I don't.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark's movie reviews, a discussion detailing the good, the bad, and the downright ridiculous of anime movies. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and tonight I am joined by our czar of source material, John.
Don't mind me. I'm just adjusting my mic settings right as we start. Prepared.
I didn't even check mine before we started, but I think it's good. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. We're prepared
I really
today.
hope mine hasn't changed. It
Nah,
shouldn't have.
Hopefully.
Sounds
Oh, we'll find out.
Well, I guess we'll find out. And we also have our lover of nostalgia, Chinoda.
Hello, boys and girls. How do you do today?
So
How does
today,
that relate to today's topic? I don't understand. Where did you come up with this name?
because the only reason he likes Suzume is because of nostalgia.
What are you talking about, John? There's so much nostalgia in it.
Oh,
it
that's
is
yeah. Okay,
themes
yeah.
of nostalgia. What the? And
Bro, I didn't grow up with those
obviously-
music.
You're right. Prepared my ass. Jesus.
We're recording.
Thought
What?
ahead, bro.
What? We're recording? But no, reluctantly, we're all here to. No, I'm just kidding. To
Oh,
review,
fuck, dude.
to review Makoto Shinkai's most recent movie, Suzume. So we've been doing this with our EVA reviews that we've been doing over the last couple of months. Going forward, I think with our movie reviews in general, we are going to move to like a half spoiler free, half spoilerific discussion. So the first half of all of our movie reviews going forward are going to be spoiler free. So if you haven't seen the movie, do feel free to stay tuned. And then about halfway through, once we get done talking about the technical stuff and kind of the stuff you might see in trailers regarding the story, we'll move on to an actual spoiler section where we'll also announce it before we start talking about spoilers. So it'll give you a chance to click off if you do care about that. So with that out of the way, let's actually talk about Suzume. So this is both directed, written, and I guess co-produced by Makoto Shinkai, by his production studio Comics Wave Films. And it originally premiered in Japanese theaters back on November 11th of 2022, and it has finally premiered here in North America April 14th, 2023. All of us, I think, even Natai, who's not here, he wanted to be on, although because of circumstances, he couldn't be here with us today during the recording. We all got a chance to see it in theaters. I don't know, you guys can tell me otherwise, but I think I'm the only one who saw it in IMAX.
Yeah, I did not. So, I think it was in our WTF that we talked about this, but I'm actually like legally blind in one eye, so I can't see like 4D, 3D, real max stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I watch movies in standard, so I don't waste extra money because I don't notice a difference anyway, other than it's kind of blurry. But
fair enough.
I will say Suzume is the first anime film in a while that I've actually seen in theaters because. For the most part, prior to Suzume, prior to Your Name, I would say that anime movies were few and far between releases around in theaters because they don't make much money until Your Name, because that kind of just like took the world by storm.
It blew up.
It really did, and now we can get like anime movies everywhere around me. So I haven't seen,
and it's usually within like 2, 3, maybe 4 months of its release in Japan.
Yeah, which is actually pretty awesome. Like prior to watching Suzume in theater, I think the last one I watched was like Ponyo, a Studio Ghibli film, which is like Ghibli film is kind of like a Disney thing. So
yeah,
that's why we have.
And of course, they have the Ghibli Fest every year now too, where they release.
They're
Ghibli
actually
films in theaters.
The theater that I went to watch Suzume actually was doing a Ghibli Fest, and I believe it's Totoro this month. So
yes, it is. It was Totoro in April, because the theater I went to was doing the same thing.
Oh wow! I guess it's like a worldwide or a nationwide launch thing.
It is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought it was
it's in North America. They got it in Canada and Mexico as well.
I did not know that.
Oh wow,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
that is actually a
don't-
cool thing that they do with Ghibli movies.
I don't remember if I watched it in IMAX or not, just because it's been a while. But I mean,
Was the
it's
screen 2 stories tall?
dude, this was a while ago. I don't remember shit.
No, I remember. I'm pretty sure you didn't watch it in because you hate 3D Romax stuff, like IMAX and
Just
whatnot.
because I might hate it or dislike it doesn't mean I won't watch it.
Bro, check
It
the
just
receipts.
depends
I'm
on timing for
gonna
me.
go to the WTF episode and I'm gonna find it. All right, I'm gonna post the receipts.
Again,
Uh.
just because I might hate it or dislike it does not mean I'm unwilling to watch it in that form. It
Okay.
just means I'm less likely to. But it really depends on the availability and convenience.
For me, the only reason I watched an IMAX was really two reasons. There's a new theater near me that actually was built with an IMAX theater. Like it was built to have an IMAX theater in it. And I wanted to try it out. And also, the only showing that was at a time I really wanted to go see the movie at was only available in IMAX. So,
It's fair.
So this movie was couldn't find any like budgetary information on it, and we probably won't have any like solid budgetary information on it for a while. Probably not until it releases like on home video here in North America.
Bro, you tell me you didn't just like add Makoto Shinkai on Twitter and ask him?
No, I didn't. Strangely enough. However, as of May 3rd, 2023, Suzume has had a worldwide box office take of $319.3 million US dollars. It is, what is it, $40 million away from overtaking
Right.
Your Name as Makoto Shinkai's most financially successful film.
Yeah, that's the it was an article that it was on Crunchyroll, actually. I read that, where it's like it's just 40 million away from overtaking Your Name, his most financially successful film. And I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of insane, right? Like,
yeah,
because he's released Weathering with You, and was there another one in between Your Name and Weathering with You?
No, it's been Your Name, Weathering with You, and basically the same three movies
and
three times in a row. But
so, and I believe Weathering with You did not perform as well as Suzume has.
No, but it didn't do terribly either. I know it was a moneymaker, but I think it ended up making like 150 million, 200 million, somewhere in that range. So
I can't imagine that these films cost more than like $50 million to make. Like,
I wouldn't assume so either. I would say like 50 million tops. And that's like a really like out there estimate. Anyway, this particular movie has a
more movies you make, the cheaper it gets to produce. So especially with art assets and all that. Yeah, depending on the movie, but like most of the time it does stay that way. I'm assuming the costs have only gone down.
I wouldn't say so.
No.
You don't think
Not
so?
with animation production, no. It's only gone up. With certain aspects of like live action film production, they have gone down over the years, but not with animation. Animation seems to be getting only more and more expensive as we go along. This movie,
it's
however,
like so I'm gonna side tangent for a second.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
When it comes to like technology stuff, it's because with like, for example, video games, before we could only fit so much in a file, so people had to be efficient with how they did stuff. Well, when we have stronger technology, we don't have to be efficient anymore. We can just be lazy and produce it the same, like better, produce it faster at a cost of like it's gonna cost you more. So that's
Redfall.
Bro, it's not the WTF. Let's not talk about Redfall.
I told you it was gonna happen. I told you.
Bro, I had so much faith because Arcane Studios, Dishonored. I loved Prey. Prey is amazing.
I knew it was gonna happen.
But anyway, yeah. So total runtime 122 minutes. Wow, it was a 2-hour long film.
Yeah.
It
was
did not
just
seem
over
like
2
that.
hours.
I honestly.
It seemed exactly like 2 hours.
Oh, we're gonna. Okay.
Oh, you can tell. Oh, you guys can tell who has what opinion right now. But yeah, I personally, I mean, of course, Makoto Shinkai, beautiful animation, beautiful cinematography, great backgrounds. I loved the effects of everything. It looks like it's fucking Makoto Shinkai. Goddamn, how much? How many more times do we need to talk about this?
This is one point where I think we're all gonna agree. Like regardless of what any of us may think of the actual story or the characters or whatever, Makoto Shinkai movies have two things in common that I think are universally loved: the art and animation and the music.
Yep. Yeah, like, so he does a lot of storytelling with backgrounds, which I love. I absolutely.
He has some of the most detailed and gorgeous background art in anime. Period.
Like, I wouldn't say no. That belongs to Miura Sensei, but
oh, okay.
It's up there.
That's manga.
That's for manga. I'm talking about an anime specifically.
Okay. All right. But yeah, like I always love how lived in his worlds look, especially with this one, because it talks about I guess
no, I mean it legit feels like the real world. It really does.
It's like it feels extremely lived in, which I love. I absolutely adore that the movie feels lived in, just because like you see so many anime that just don't care about small things that take you out of immersion, right? Like background art matters. Like it's like this in video games too. People really don't want to like talk about it because the thing is, just like with audio, if your backgrounds aren't up to par, people will notice. But if they are, people will not fucking notice. And it's a fine line to tout, because it's like, oh, how much, I don't want to spend too much on paying the background people, and we don't want to put too much effort and time into making it. However, if it's bad, people will definitely shit on us for it. And that's something you definitely can't say about Makoto Shinkai's films, because his backgrounds always look lived in. I loved all the weather defects and stuff like that. Like it's about ruined stuff, like old places, the things gathered. And I'm just like, it looks fucking old. I love this. I love going into the city and seeing all the fucking skyscrapers and people walking around. There's actual other people in this universe.
Oh, like, and there's a big difference, because like part of this movie takes place, a lot of Makoto Shinkai's movies are this way, where part of the movie will take place in a rural setting and then another part will take place in a big city. Like, and even in the background art, they look like completely different places.
Yeah,
as they
which
should.
Is a great thing. Yeah.
I was reading an article once about Makoto Shinkai's like art style, particularly with his background art, and it may have actually been an article on Crunchyroll. I can't remember, but they compared it to how George Lucas did set design with Star Wars, and they made that used future look, and they called what Makoto Shinkai does the used present aesthetic.
Ooh. Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
No,
dude.
That actually sounds.
That's actually a really good comparison, I think. Yeah, and that's the best way to describe it. All of Makoto Shinkai's artwork looks like he's creating a lived-in world, which is something a lot of anime background artists don't do, sadly.
I mean, I get it. Like, we're here for the main story. Like, who cares about the background? But I just keep getting PTSD flashbacks to Ghost in the Shell 2042. Like, just literally plain background. There's like the same fucking NPCs walking around, and just like, dude, you couldn't even spend like a fucking 15 minutes populating this and making it look good. Like, what the hell?
Is crazy, because the original, if you look at the original Ghost in the Shell movie from '95, one of the best things about that is its background art.
Yeah, I know, with the used future shit, like the or not used,
like the city that they're living in is falling apart.
It's not cyberpunk. It's
there is a word for it, but I forget what it is.
Cyber noir or something like that.
Cyber noir. That's it. Yeah. No, cyber noir. That's it. That's what it's called.
Yeah, it looks. I love that look. Like, so to pay attention to the background, do stuff like that. Perfect. Great. Yeah. The music in this one, I gotta say, not Radwimp's best.
No, not at all.
Natai
I still think it was strong, but like, I
think it was pretty. Like I mean, it's not bad, and I don't think that the sound design was bad either. Like, I loved the sound effects when we saw like stuff happening on screen. But I wouldn't say that this was the best OST. There's like one song. It's Suzume, the song Suzume from the soundtrack Suzume. That's a good song. That's about it, in my opinion.
Surprised they didn't have it being sung by Suzume.
It's not a fucking who's that other guy? The guy who made Bell.
Mamoru Hosoda.
Hosoda. It's not a Hosoda film. So but yeah, music composed by Kazuma Jinochi. Jinochi? I think that's how you say his name. Jinochi and Radwimps. Kazuma is known for Star Wars Vision, Episode 5, The Ninth Jedi, Ultraman in 2019, Halo 5 Guardians. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Caught me off guard as well.
as much as John and I shit on Halo 5, the music is pretty good.
Yeah, but like, bro, Red versus Blue, the freaking video game. Red versus Blue, the video game.
Oh my god.
Freaking.
There's a lot to like about Halo 5. The campaign is not one of those things.
This isn't the Halo podcast. Chill out.
No, it's not, sadly. Yeah, I will say that one thing I did want to point out about the sound design in particular is like in the quieter scenes, like there's actually stuff going on in the background that you can hear. And like that's actually good to see. Like that someone in the sound design group actually cared enough to put these like random sound effects that you'd hear in nature in the background.
That's something I also really like that to add on as well. The fact that like it's not just the world looks lived in, it sounds like a world that is living as well. It's present, it's constant. It's not ever completely quiet. There is constantly something you're hearing, even if it's super silent. And I really appreciated that.
And one of the disconnects for this film is that they use a lot of old music for like I think it's like 90s or 80s music or something.
Yep.
Like Japanese pop music and stuff like that. Of course I didn't live in Japan in the 80s or the 90s, and I don't really have strong feelings to the movie. So I feel like I kind of missed out on that, like the feeling, the sense of nostalgia.
That was very much a cultural difference.
That's one of the things that I would say that the film is it does it really well, but it's something I couldn't personally relate to. So I was like, it's kind of like, oh well, I don't really know these songs and they're not really catchy. Like,
it would be actually pretty cool if the dub actually put in more different songs for that. That would.
I want to ask a question.
I think so. Music licensing is very expensive, so I think
that's right. Yeah. I do want to ask a question though. Did we all see this subbed?
Yes, I watched. Yes. Is there even a dub out?
Yes.
Okay.
That I had a dub showing.
I did. Okay. I only had subbed around me, so I didn't know if they actually had released it with a dub or not.
I actually have a feeling that's one of the reasons why it doesn't get released worldwide at once. They wait for the dub to happen and then release it everywhere together.
I think that's a big part of the reason why there's usually like a 4 or 5 month gap between when it airs in Japan versus outside of Japan.
Well, yeah, because you got licensing issues to deal with, like
you
for example,
subtitle it.
Into the Spider-Verse, Sony owns the IP for Spider-Man, or did own it. They still own it, don't they?
They still own it. They
still own it, like the Miles Morales collection, stuff like that. But you know what else Sony owns? A shit ton of music. So in the Into the Spider-Verse, they were like, hey, we own all these licenses, so we're just gonna use a bunch of Sony music label licensed songs in our movie to make it amazing. And it kind of enhanced the experience. Like Sunflower was a really good. I really like that song. I really liked Into the Spider-Verse because of that. So I would assume that going into the Wayback Machine and trying to use licensed song from the 80s and the 90s, it'd be a hell of a time to get those licenses to be able to play overseas. Because it's not like just because it's in a fucking movie doesn't mean the license automatically just expires. You just pay a one-time fee. It's like, no, they get a certain fee for where you release it. They have different things for international releases. So I understand there's a big issue with that.
Yeah, and then there's some Japanese music that can't be licensed overseas for legal reasons. So
wait, what?
Yeah. Sometimes you just can't. It's not just Japanese music. It's just music in general. There's some like Indian music that you can't license outside of India. There's some French music that you can't license outside of France.
That's so dumb.
Licensing is music licensing is one of the biggest like legal cobwebs out there.
Yeah, there's freaking Ed Sheeran just won his case against the
I am so happy about that.
That was fucking wild.
Yeah, like the whole trying to sue him over the chord progression, like, oh, it's the same, and it's like, I mean, you can't license chord progressions. There's a finite amount of chord progressions. I don't remember what episode we talked about it, but that's something that really irks me when people try to like, and I know it wasn't Marvin Gaye's family. I believe it was someone else.
It was people who worked with his
it's the people who helped write that song or something. Yeah, it's the other family. Yeah. It wasn't Marvin Gaye's family trying to sue him or his estate trying to sue
I think it was the son or the family of the co-writer of that song.
Yeah, and they're like known for doing this, which is like that's a damn shame because one, you should, and I'm glad it got struck down, because you cannot license chord progressions. Literally, there's only a finite amount of chord progressions you can have that sound good in music, like a couple 100,000, just about. And within that, there's only I'd say a couple 100, maybe even 1,000 chord progressions that sound good together.
It's to explain it to people who don't necessarily understand this. It's like if a company tried to copyright or license the color red. Like,
companies have tried that. No,
exactly. No, but like, to explain it in simpler terms, that's basically what that case is paramount to. It's so incredibly dumb.
So I know Coca-Cola has tried to license Coca-Cola Red.
Yep,
they have tried.
In Italy, Ferrari has a license to actual legal license to a specific shade of red that they use for their cars.
Yeah,
it's called Ferrari Red.
Yeah, but that's different because that's car paint. Like RGB value colors, we should not be able to license. Like because there's again a certain amount from 0 to 255 on an RGB scale of red, green, blue that you can make color. You should not be able to license that. However, if I made it into a shade of paint, then that's kind of proprietary knowledge, because
Ferrari gets away with it because it's not only the shade of the color that they have licensed, it's how that paint is made that they license.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the means to produce this paint is kind of something you can license. It's like, I can only make this shade of paint in this certain way, so I can license it. So if you find out a way to make Ferrari red without doing it the same way they do, as long as you don't infringe upon, like, I think it's like 40% or something of the way that they do it, you can technically have that color too.
Yeah, with Ferrari, it's like, as long as you with Ferrari's license, it's making a paint with these specific ingredients, this specific way that produces this specific color.
Yeah, so if you can make that color without sharing 40% of their process and ingredients, you'll be fine. Maybe, I don't know. They have a shit ton of money. They'll sue the fuck out of you.
Copyright and licensing is such a legal minefield.
I know, right? And it's like, man. So yeah, this is probably why a lot of movies don't get released domestically, because it's hard to make back that money. And it honestly, when I first saw the premise for Suzume, I was just like, in the trailer, he turns into a chair. Turns into a fucking chair.
Funniest shit I've ever seen.
And I was like, what the fuck is this movie? There's no way it's gonna be good.
So when I first saw the trailer, can I just say, with the very first trailer I ever saw about this, of course, it was like a teaser trailer, so it didn't show very much. It gave off the appearance of like this was gonna be a movie about a female main character going through like memories and like experiencing nostalgia and realizing that like the past is something that you shouldn't forget, but you shouldn't also live in. That's what I thought it was going to be about.
So you mean Your Name and Whether With You?
Yeah, kind of. Which is why I was never really excited for. Which is why I never thought I was never super excited to go see this movie.
Yeah, and like, so when I first my first experience of the trailer was, I don't remember who made the video on YouTube. It's like, he turns into a chair this summer. Rob Schneider is a chair. And that was my first like watch through of the trailer. I was like, I love this. I love whoever made this, because like this seems like a ridiculous fucking movie. Also, and that was my only knowledge about Suzume prior to like
massive missed opportunity to have Danny DeVito voice the chair.
Oh Jesus Christ!
No,
massive missed opportunity.
I'll say the very first teaser I saw like way long ago, I watched it and was like, the fuck is going on in this movie? I had no clue what was going on.
She opens a door and the boy turns into a chair.
No, the way you got your neck going back, you look like the Valley Girl when you do that. I swear to God.
Oh God. Yeah, I wasn't planning to watch this movie until I believe it was Natai who watched it. It was like, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to be out on date night with my girl anyway, and we're going to be next to a movie theater, and it just so happens to be playing where I was going to be around. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go watch it, and we'll see what's up, because he was like, you know what? It wasn't bad. And I was like, okay, that's a respectable opinion to have, because I absolutely hated Weathering with You. So, I mean, you know, if Natai says that, me and him have pretty similar tastes when it comes to like watching stuff. So I'm like, I can take his opinion, his word. So I decided to go watch it, and there's some things I like and some things I don't like, but that's spoiler territory, and I don't know if we want to get into that just yet. I mean, I'm ready to get into the meat of things here.
Well, I will say non-spoilery here that yes, a major theme of this movie that's muddled behind like 15 layers of unnecessary rom-com bullshit is the fact of it is the fact of like, you know, remembering where you came from but not living in the past.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean,
it's very nostalgia heavy, but
yes,
it doesn't rely on it.
And it does have a lot of very common Makoto Shinkai tropes where it comes to like how characters interact with each other. It's also got that traditional Makoto Shinkai humor of X happens, pause, something explodes.
Yeah. I will say the CGI looks really good too. I did not mind the CGI.
Gorgeous.
And there isn't a whole lot of it. There was less of it than I thought there would be, given some of the action sequences that there are.
Yeah.
Also, I will say the cat like creature thing in it, which I know is supposed to be some kind of a mascot type character for this movie. It's just a cat version of a pug.
What? So
the eyes are bugging out like it's a fucking alien, Shinoda.
It does kind of look like a Ghibli cat, not gonna lie.
It does. It really does.
Look at Makoto Shinkai. He's trying to dip into the Ghibli funds now, dude. My man's making plans.
I can imagine like Makoto Shinkai's hand just going into the Ghibli cookie jar, and you just see Hayao Miyazaki's hand go, "No, mine."
Nature's my domain.
Nature is my domain, bitch.
It really is, though. Like, have you seen his movies? They're all about nature.
All of Hayao Miyazaki's movies are about like environmentalism and like being in peace with nature.
Exactly.
In some way.
All right.
NPR actually did a whole thing about it.
If you've made it this far, thanks for listening. I think that if you want to watch Suzume, you should go right ahead. That's just my take. Like,
I fully agree. I think it's definitely worth the watch. Form opinions after that, but it is definitely worth watching.
My opinion is if you've seen Your Name and Weathering with You, you've seen this movie.
All right, to the meat. Alex, you're wrong and you should hate yourself.
We're getting
click away. We're going spoilers now.
We are getting into spoiler territory. So since we brought up the cat, can I talk about the cat?
Okay. Yeah, no, I want to say real quick, every fucking time I heard Suzume, I got so fucking creeped out. I got goosebumps. I was like, fuck, I hate that
they
thing.
brought in an actual kid to voice the damn cat.
Yeah. I don't understand the point of the cat. I really don't.
It's
What do you mean? It was they literally said it. It was
they talk about what the cats are in the movie, dude.
Yeah. I think that
they're ancient gods that acted as anchor points. Yeah, keystones, anchor points to keep the worms from destroying the earth. And basically every single natural disaster that ever happened in our world was because of the worms escaping. And that's like the point of like the what did he call him? Gatekeeper? What did the guy the
Keystones.
No, his the role of him and his family. They were like gatekeepers or something.
Yeah.
They had an actual title.
Yeah, they do.
An actual like keykeeper or something, yeah.
But it is something like that. I guess my real question about the cat is, why does it pretend to be evil through half of the movie?
It doesn't pretend to be evil. It's honestly doing cat-like things.
It's because obviously it's supposed to be a younger god, and it likes Suzume because Suzume is the one who unleashed it. Like, okay, first let me talk about the beginning of the goddamn movie where Rob Schneider turns into a goddamn chair. Okay, hot guy shows up. He's a drifter in your rural town.
Also, let me be clear. That guy's mid at best. Let's be honest.
He wasn't even that hot.
He was cute.
All right, and that's not even the most.
No,
he is no Koyomi Araragi.
That's not the most problematic thing. I'll get to that later. But all right, this guy, this stranger with long hair, drifter in your town, shows up in your rural nowhere town. He walks up past you and he goes to the fucking flood site. What's your first thought here? oh, he's kind of cute. I should follow him? Or, that's weird. Maybe I should get to school. Well, if you chose number 1, you're fucking crazy, because who the fuck does that, Suzume?
Yeah.
Who in the right goddamn, oh, he's kind of hot. I should follow him to those ruins. Like, what? Who? Huh? Anyway, bro, when we got to the theater, we got there kind of late, so I got there when she was talking about that. So I was like confused. I was like, wait, why is she even following him? Like, I don't understand what's happening here. And I was like, did I miss something? Why is she even like following him at all? And nope, it's literally just, oh, he's kind of hot. I wonder what he's doing there. I should follow him. Like, what?
What? See, I didn't get that from that.
She literally says he's kind of hot.
Yeah,
and then follows him.
I don't feel like that's the reason she followed him, though.
But that's the reasoning she gives us. He's kind of hot. I wonder why he's going to that disaster site.
I don't know. I feel like it felt a lot more of natural curiosity and
I mean, concern. Yeah, I'd be pretty curious too if someone showed up to my town that I didn't recognize and then they went to the disaster site. Like, but my first thought would be like, I wonder why he's going there. Then I'd ask other people, hey, did you see this weird guy? He went to the disaster site. Anyone know anything about that?
Or I just go on with my fucking day.
Right? Like, what kind of woman naturally goes, that guy's kind of hot. Maybe I should follow him.
Because the plot I don't think any type of woman John. Would the plot needs to happen, and character agency isn't a big deal for Makoto Shinkai.
Well, I refuse to believe that. She's not even a woman. She's a girl. She's like 16. All right. And the most problematic thing is this dude is graduating college. He's like 22 or something. He's like 21 or 22.
He's in his early 20s.
He's in his 20s, and this girl is 16. This is problematic.
I do want to point out 16 is the age of consent in Japan. So
yeah, they just raised it from 14 to 16. I know, or 13 to 16. But still, kind of weird. However, I do know that in rural places, things like that happen. For example, back in my mountain village, back in the old country, it's pretty normal to get married and have kids when you're like 13 or 14. So I do understand that if you come from rural bumfuck nowhere, this is just how it is, okay? I do get that. This kid is from the city. He should know better. Just saying.
Allegedly, he's from the city. We don't actually know that's where he's originally from.
He's from Tokyo. He lives in Tokyo.
Now, I don't know.
And he's studying to be a goddamn teacher.
That's the most problematic thing.
Is it? Yeah, you don't think that's a little problematic? Hey, I'm studying to be a fucking teacher. I'm gonna date a fucking 16-year-old.
Also, that's something else that and maybe John and I were talking about this beforehand, and maybe you agree with me. Like the whole romance element of the romance, like they meet and like 3 days later they're fucking in love. I'm talking about Romeo and Juliet shotgun marriage.
Okay, I'll be real. I felt no romance from this.
Right?
Movie.
Okay,
what are you talking about, Alex? I felt no romance from it at all. Like it came a lot later, towards like the very end of the movie. After
it shouldn't have been in there at all.
But like there were like minimum hints here and there, but it didn't go for a romance aspect. I don't know what you're talking about, Alex.
So
there
in
was
the very
like a
beginning,
romance plot.
So in the very beginning, there's the fact that Suzume is just interested in this guy because she's like, oh, he's kind of hot. Like she kind of develops a crush on him. Okay. Then he turns into a fucking chair.
And then she sits on his face.
Oh my God. That was so funny. Again, with literally every other Makoto Shinkai film that I've talked about, pick a fucking lane, Makoto Shinkai. God damn. Focus on either the romance plot or focus on the Suzume area. Either one would have been fine. You just have to focus on it. Don't do this mix and match bullshit. Because all right, I'm going to be honest with you. I cried at this movie.
Oh my God.
I actually did cry. Okay. When we get to the end, because Suzume has to deal with the loss of her mother, right? She's living with her aunt in the countryside.
Yeah, and trauma, baby.
Yeah, she's like, whoo. So like she lost her mom in the tsunami, I believe, right? Or earthquake. Yeah, it was a tsunami, I believe.
The Tohoku tsunami.
Yeah, so she lost her mom, and the boy gets cursed, the man. He's not a boy, he's a man. He gets cursed and turned into a chair. And that chair was like Suzume's mom made that chair for her. And it was just like, dude, when we get to the end where she's in that alter world and she has to save herself, her younger self, and it's like she has to learn, she's learning to let go of the past. Like she has to let go of her mom because it's been so long. She has to live in the present. I fucking cried. Oh God, no, I bawled. I fucking bawled because I was like, this is a beautiful plot. I love this. Why didn't we focus on this the entire time, Makoto Shinkai?
You mean the thing with the daughter and her mother?
Yes, the trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, however, I will say that in typical Makoto Shinkai fashion, he does hint to her getting over it by going on this adventure. Because when she's going through and all the people in the royal towns are like, she's just a girl. She's going through that time in her life. She needs to find herself, right? Mm-hmm. So this journey that she actually goes on, this adventure that she goes on, is actually part of how she gets over her trauma. And so that part is actually pretty good. I actually really did like that. I just would have liked it more if you were going to fucking shoehorn this romance plot into there, that the guy actually did something to help her with that. Other than, Suzume, we gotta catch the cat. Suzume.
I have a thing about that. So I was thinking about it after the movie. I've been thinking about it for the last week and a half. It's like, how would I make this movie better? And I agree, focusing on like the trauma and the loss and the nostalgia of the daughter and her mother would have been a far better angle to do this. And I think you can keep a lot of the same stuff in there. Like have the dude be some kind of like traveling mystic or something, whatever bullshit. And he's trying to find these like doors throughout the world that actually let you relive past memories and help you get over trauma. And that's what they go do. They go try and find these doors. And every time she goes through it, she has to relive a memory and actually face her trauma. That would have been a much more fun story to watch. I mean, fun.
It would have been amazing if it was like that. I would have loved that.
Forget the whole like world-ending worm, fucking earthworm gym aspect bullshit. Like that stuff was so bad. Like just make it this singular like character study of a woman trying to get over the trauma of losing her mother. That would have been like akin to 5 centimeters.
What is it? Is it the Bechdel test? Is that what it's called? When it's like there needs to be at least 2 women on screen for more than like
not talking about a man,
not talking about a man or things that men do for 10 minutes. That's the Bechdel test.
Does Suzume pass the Bechdel test? I don't think it does.
No, because within the first 2 minutes she's seeing a man and going
need I say more? Like,
and honestly, so there was an interview that Makoto Shinkai did a few weeks ago where he was talking about like the early development process of this movie, and the original like concept was going to be about Suzume being in a relationship with one of her other female classmates and them going on this adventure together. And I think even if you did that,
kind of could have worked.
That could have worked. I feel like been like a Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants kind of shit.
I mean, I would have liked that quite a lot because especially if it's someone her classmate that's grown up with her and knows that she lost her mom, you'd have much more of a reason to. Like there are multiple routes we could have explored that could have enhanced the rom-com aspect and also the trauma aspect. We could have it could have been written a lot better. And a lot of the movie revolves around nostalgia and remembering the things that have happened and having to move forward. So it is thematic to do what Makoto Shinkai did in this film, but I feel like a lot of it is nostalgia baiting because like using the licensed music from the 70s and the 80s, doing the whole like fucking road trip sequence like that to me felt like
I have something to say about that.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Hold on. There was a point in this movie where I saw the setup to the joke and I said, surely he's not going to do this. And my God, they did it. You remember the part where they're driving along and the dude takes his eyes off the road while he's talking to Suzume's aunt, right? And like they have that sequence where they drive off the road into the ditch. I knew the second that they did, number one, that the airbag was going to go off, and number
of course, as always.
And number two, from before when it started raining and the roof wouldn't work, the second they crashed the car, the roof would go back on. I knew the second that happened, it was going to happen.
I love that part though. I was just like, because Chekhov's gun, right? Like they had to bring it back. Yeah. I actually did like that. I knew the airbags were going to go off.
Like,
of course,
Makoto Shinkai, you bastard! I knew you were going to do that.
I mean,
it was good though. I liked it.
That's just basic writing, though. If you have any experience in it at all, whether you're a reader or a writer, It's easy to
There
tell.
is the most blatant example of Deus Ex Machina writing right after that scene I've ever seen in any anime movie ever.
Oh,
she
shit,
just
look, a bike.
She just happens to find an abandoned bike right next to where they crash.
Yeah, like the chains aren't rusted up and locked in place, even though they've been sitting here, that it's gotten overgrown with weeds. Like, sure, dude. Sure, bikes are like that.
It's literally not how any of that works, but yeah.
That is the most blatant Deus Ex Machina writing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and then like, so even the reason why Suzume falls in love with the guy, like, there are, I counted about 4 scenes where I'm like, okay, this is something that could have been why she fell in love with him. When he's playing around with the kids, right? When he's the chair and he plays around with the kids, like, oh, he's showing fatherly love, whatever. He literally saves her like 2 or 3 times, I believe. Like when he didn't have to, but he does. So I'm like, okay, these are plot points where you could be like, okay, this is how it turns from an infatuation crush into like, I love this girl. But there's no reason for him to love her.
No, there isn't.
No.
Other than he gets saved by her at the end. But I'm like, but throughout the entire story, you didn't really find anything to love about her. Other than she's kind of just going along with you.
Like I feel like part of it is going along with the whole suspension bridge effect kind of thing.
Yeah, I felt like that too. I'm just like, okay, they saved each other a couple times, so I guess they like each other. But I wanted Makoto Shinkai to just focus more. I love, again, Suzume's story to me was very impactful and very strong. Like when she goes to the other world and she finds her tiny self lost in the snow, and then like she gets saved by some person who gives her the chair, and it's actually her from the future. I was just like, okay, first of all, Harry Potter did this like 10 years ago, dude. Like, you ripping off Harry Potter now? Like, what the fuck? You know, he fucking Patronus, right? Like, it's my dad. It's a deer. It's like, no, it's just you in the future coming to the past. But anyway.
Also, Araki did this in JoJo's.
Yeah. Because, again, it was a very impactful scene because it's her from the future realizing this is what happened in the past and her unlocking the memories and stuff. But it's about her getting over her trauma and telling her, like, it's going to be okay. And I'm just like, oh, that broke my heart. I was like, poor Suzume, because if anyone's ever lost anyone near and dear to their heart, someone who's like a mother to them or their actual mother, like if you have ever been loved by someone who's taking care of you by themselves like that, you've lost them, it hurts, dude. It fucking hurts. You don't get over that overnight. You'd be fucking 20 years later, you still probably won't be over it. And so to me, that was a very impactful scene. I loved that writing. I wanted to see more of that. I wanted the entire movie to just revolve around that.
I did too.
And you can weave rom-com into that, Makoto Shinkai. You can. You could have done it way better by doing.
You could have even done it with a lesbian relationship with a classmate if you really wanted to.
Yeah, it would have been fine. Like, I don't understand why you chose the Keykeeper. He had zero relation to her. There's no reason for him to like Suzume. And that's one of the other biggest problems I have with it. Like, I don't understand why. I understand why Suzume likes him. Right? New guy. He's kind of cute. And he's done some heroic things, right? He's done enough for me to be like, okay, believable that Suzume falls in love with this guy. No reason at all for him to fall in love with her. Zero. None.
I thought, like, if you really wanted to weave a romance element into it, I think it actually would have worked better with an actual classmate, and they had to go on this journey with the Suzume. You could still have like the Keykeeper as some kind of like guide or whatever on this journey, I guess.
Yeah, because like that classmate
and then have
would
them
have had
slowly
they had a
realize
prior investment. Yeah,
and then have them realize
they grew up with
slowly
Suzume,
over the
they
course.
understand that she's been dealing with this, and there's just. I wish Makoto Shinkai would have focused more on the human element, other than like the mystic stuff. Like I thought the Wern stuff was kind of cool. I love the Alter World. That was really cool. You know, I did like those as plot points. However, focusing more on like, oh, look at this world event thing. Here are the places of major disasters. Remember this happened? Remember this fire that happened at this gym? I'm like, or this was it a landslide? I think it was like a landslide.
Landslide, actually. Yes.
Landslide, yes.
Yeah, I think your idea of she had to relive past memories or something while going through those doors to like resolve the doors would have been a great idea to explore more of Suzume's life.
And
however,
I do
understand
the final door she goes through being at her old house, like that was thematically great.
Yeah, it would have been amazing if that last door was like every other part of her life. She had to do something similar, right? Because they had the whole. I felt it was so out of pocket to do the whole like my aunt's taking care of me, but I think she hates me. When the aunt gets possessed by the big black cat, and she's like says all those evil, hateful things, like they were from the bottom of her heart. Like she did feel resentful, right? About her aunt. I get, or her aunt felt resentful about taking Suzume in because, like, gosh, this is my sister's kid. I spent my life taking care of her and she's not even grateful. And I'm like, this is great. I love this because this is something that Suzume does need to fucking face. The fact that your aunt took care of you when she didn't have to, it's not like you asked her to, but she did this out of the kindness of her heart. Yeah. This should have been more about their bond. I wanted to see the human element here would have been so great. But it's just ruined by the fact that we had to go close these goddamn doors. Haven't you fucking heard of? Haven't you ever heard of closing the goddamn door?
Goddamn door.
Yeah. I kind of want to. I want to title this review that now.
Don't do it. Brandon Urie's gonna sue us.
But I also can't put swearing in the titles on YouTube.
So I actually have to say the nostalgia of the movie is part, like, I can understand why you guys don't like that and like want the focus to be more on the human part. I can understand that, and to a point I do agree with it, but I do feel the nostalgia of the movie, which is concentrated on the civilizations that used to be there, the people, the villages, the cities, towns, whatever, that were abandoned due to natural disaster, one reason or another. And I feel like that's also a very important aspect of the movie. And
yeah, that's the main focus that Makoto Shinkai wanted to do. I got that.
And I feel like I appreciate the fact that he did focus on that instead of just the human elements. And don't get me wrong, I love the human elements. Of course, I wish there was more of it. But at the same time, I love the other aspect of it. I truly enjoyed that outlook and that recall necessity.
I feel like what Shinoda just described is why a lot of people like this movie. It's not necessarily because of the story; it's because of the feeling that they get while they watch it.
Like I said, I actually do like this film, surprisingly enough, even though I'm complaining about the plot. My most issue with most Makoto Shinkai movies after 5 centimeters per second is the plot, because it's like there's so many things you could have done better that you don't do anymore. Like I absolutely adore 5 centimeters per second.
It's his best movie.
It honestly, it is
unquestionably it's his best movie.
But I do. So I'm gonna read what Natai wrote. He says, "You don't have to read this." Well, tough luck, buddy.
Tough fucking.
You're getting read, buddy.
I'm gonna read this. Right? He says, "Beautiful background art. I found the ruins aspect of the movie really compelling, especially after reading how Shinkai was influenced by the massive earthquakes that destroyed parts of Japan. Aside from that, the movie just felt like a fun adventure summer blockbuster. Nothing more, nothing less. Unfortunately, the romance felt forced, and it should have been a platonic relationship. Also, probably the weakest Radwimps OST in a Shinkai film thus far." I agree with him. I think that this was a fun time to watch this movie. I like I said, I still like the feeling I felt when I watched the movie. I absolutely adored the whole confronting her past self and learning to let go and live in the present. I just wanted to see more of that. I also agree that this is probably the weakest Radwimps OST so far.
Yeah,
100% agree with that. I mean, Suzume is still a good song. It's not bad, but I found the ruin aspect thing compelling as well. Like the whole nostalgia thing and looking to the past, like at these disasters. I liked that.
All of the gates they visit are in ruins.
Yeah, and it's like here are the major events that happened here, and I like the fact that thematically, like this may have happened, but it didn't slow anyone down. Society still prospered. People build over, and people for
life went
on. Yeah, and again, beautiful. This is a very compelling story to tell. I just wish you did it better, Makoto Shinkai.
The funny thing is that as you go on, the gates that they visit get more and more removed from everyday life. So like the first ones that they visit are overlooking a town. They're like on a hill above a town, so you can kind of see them if you just look up. And then the second one they go to in the old amusement park, it's kind of been overgrown by trees around it, so you can really only see the top of it from where, from the rest of the city around it. And then you go to the one in Tokyo, it's buried completely under the city. No one sees it.
Well, what about the one that was in
the mountain, the
high school? Yeah,
that was the mudslide one.
That's true. That's the mudslide one, and that was kind of out of the way too.
Yeah, it was over. It was in the mountain, so it's like it. I believe
it was like surrounded by mountains. I think.
Yeah, because it went. I'm pretty sure it went the city that's right next to it, where the ruins were literally on top. And then I believe the mountain one was after that, right? Or is it the Ferris wheel one?
Yeah.
I don't remember which one was
I can't remember which one was. It was one of those two that was second. It's second and third, but those are the two that were second and third. And then you go to the city one in Tokyo, and it's like no one sees it
because they built over. Yeah, like each of the gates get older and older, and then we get to the final one, subway which is tunnel. And the last one was Suzume's Gate, which was like, bro,
yeah.
I honestly, I love that the last 20 minutes of Suzume were really fucking good.
Honestly, like, that should have been the whole movie.
I want to forgive all of the prior transgressions just because of how good that end sequence was with Suzume and like confronting the past. Because God, dude, it hit.
I just wish that had been so the whole movie. I really wish that had been the whole movie of her just confronting her trauma, confronting the past decisions that she's made, and having to not forget them, but get over them.
Yeah, and that's why I say, Makoto Shinkai, pick a fucking lane. Choose one story to focus on, dude. Do Suzume's thing, or do the whole learning to forgive and forget and nature whatever thing. Do one of them. Don't combine them into this mix mash.
If you're going to have a romance element to your story between the two main characters, make it develop across the whole movie, not the last third.
Honestly, though.
Well, it was one-sided the first 2/3. And then the last third, I don't understand why what does he see in Suzume other than, oh, I gave up my life for her and she came back for me. I'm like, that was one thing.
Again,
one thing.
Suspension bridge effect. That's all. That's got to be it.
I mean, that's really the only thing I can think of too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm fine wrapping it up here. Like, I got nothing else to say. Like,
hold on, real quick. I gotta ask you guys. What do you think of the kaiju battle?
Dude, the kaiju battle was awesome. Like, what?
That was cool.
Bro, when the cat fucking grew into the giant worm size and started duking out, I was like, yo, kaiju battle!
Kaiju battle, let's go!
Honestly, kind of made me want to see how Makoto Shinkai would do like a Godzilla battle.
Makoto Shinkai makes the next
Godzilla movie. I'd be there for it, man. Actually, you know what? He should team up with what's his name? Evangelion dude. Hideaki Anno. He should team up with Anno to do Shin Evangelion Part 2. Or not Shin Godzilla Part 2, I mean.
No. Oh my god. The worst crossover episode I've ever seen in my life, dude.
Shin Godzilla was good, though.
Oh, I love Shin Godzilla.
No, I'm talking about the crossover that you want to make. Why?
Because I think that it could be drawn really well.
I'd love to see them collaborate, actually. That would be really cool.
It would be very depressing.
Yeah.
It would be very well drawn depression, but it would be depression.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about in the movie?
We can talk about our scores. So Chinoda, what do you give this?
I give this the highest score out of ACAD, an 8 out of 10. I firmly believe this was a damn good film. Some plot contrivances here and there.
Some?
Some? Yes, some.
Oh, you mean?
It wasn't that. Oh my god.
My dude, bad. there was a perfectly functional bike right next to a car wreck. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't worry about it. Just enjoy the journey, man.
All the fucking MacGuffins.
It's a good summer journey.
To quote a Red Letter Media, don't ask questions, just consume product.
No, I liked it. Go watch it, please.
And Natai has rated it a 6 out of 10. But he does. No, he did it 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Oh yeah, he did.
But he does say it was a fun summer adventure blockbuster. Fun adventure summer blockbuster. There we go. I can read. I gave it honestly speaking, I think it's a 7 out of 10. Like I'm pretty sure I rated Your Name about the same. It's not as good as Your Name because the OST isn't as good, but I think just the setting alone and like the whole Suzume aspect, like her exploring herself and, you know, forgiving herself and learning to let go of things in the past and live in the present. I really liked it. I love this plot. This is probably his strongest plot thus far. I just wish I saw more of it.
Can we all agree that the best OST for the last 3 Shinkai films is Your Name?
Of course. Hands down, Your Name is the best OST, dude.
It's not even close.
It's not even close.
I gave this the lowest score out of all of us. I wrote down 4 out of 10, but it's really like a 4.5, and it's like it's edging towards that 5 out of 10.
Don't do points. Just choose one fucking number. Don't be a little bitch.
If I'm being honest, I'll say a 5 out of 10, even though I wrote down 4, because like it's certainly not the worst anime movie I've ever seen. But after having seen Your Name and Weathering with You, like, let's move on, Shinkai. Let's I know you can do better than
trilogy.
This.
We're done with the trilogy now, Shinkai. You can do something completely.
If he does another movie, because I have to imagine he's going to do another movie after this, in the next 4 or 5 years. If it's going along the same thing, like, this dude's a con man at this point. He's not a movie maker.
He's found his niche.
Yeah, and he's exploiting the hell out of it.
I mean, honestly speaking, does it matter what we say though? Because like he's still raking in cash, like 40 million less than his
matters.
Like,
and like I said, I feel like a lot of people watch and enjoy this for the reason that Shinoda mentioned. It's like that nostalgia heavy themes, and I think a lot of people really gravitate towards that, and I don't blame them. I feel like if you go in like not expecting a whole lot, and then you experience that nostalgia kick, you're probably gonna like this.
Holy shit! I'm looking at the Rotten. First of all, I hate Rotten Tomatoes. I don't trust their score.
The critic side or the audience side, or both?
I'd say I'd trust the audience side more than I trust the critic side. I never trust the critics. The critics freaking said that
the critics have an art degree up their ass. That's the problem.
They watched that Netflix pedophile thing that Sneeko defends.
Cuties.
Cuties. The critics rated Cuties super highly, so I cannot listen to them. But they were 96% and 98%. That's crazy.
I mean, that's pretty close.
Really? I mean, I see why people like it. I don't think it's a bad film at all. Like, I liked it more than Weathering with You.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I would say if I'm comparing these 3 movies, I would say it would probably go Your Name, then this, then Weathering with You.
Yeah, I'm more Suzume than Your Name, if I'm being honest.
Really? I like the potential of Suzume more than Your Name.
Yeah, I just feel like Your Name, because it has such an amazing soundtrack, is why I like Your Name. That's why, because I do rank story above all else. Like, if the story isn't good, I don't like it, right? And then there's the rest. Here's sound effects right after, and here's like animation. I view animation as pretty low on my priority list, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, I feel like, to me, this is just it's okay. It's nothing special. I certainly wouldn't go pay to see it again.
I'd be hard pressed to pay to see another movie again. I don't think I've ever done that. Not like my mom. The theater went to go see Titanic like 3 times in a row.
The theater experience isn't what it once was, sadly. But it is nice to see more and more anime movies getting theatrical releases like this. So
okay, so I'm checking on IMDb, and it's got a 7.8 on that. See, that's respectable. Okay. I can understand that as a score.
Okay.
So from what it looks like, majority of people actually like it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I looked at on Mal. It's got like an 8.4, I think, on Mal. So
I don't trust Mal either, though. Like, Mal is one of those places, I
don't know. With movies, I trust the ratings on movies more than shows on Mal. But anyway, yeah, that's it. That's our review of Suzume. Let us know what you thought about the movie if you've seen it down below. I think that's about it. Unless you guys have anything else before I wrap this up.
No.
No. All right. Well, in that case, thank you all out there for dropping in to watch us. Check the description down below where you can find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitch, on social media, and on Discord. We also have a merch store link down below. Any purchases you make there do really, really help us out. Also, yes, down there. Also, if you liked it, give us a like. Like I said, let us know what you think. Share it around. Subscribe if you want to see more. I should really do that more and more, because apparently you have to tell people that if they don't do it.
Yeah,
people like
it, share it,
what to do.
But with that, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, guys.
Bye.
Got turned into a chair, Morty. Funniest shit I ever seen.
Seriously though, that trailer that this summer, Rob Schneider turns into a chair.
I'm telling you, a huge missed opportunity in the dub to get Danny DeVito to do the chair. Then you could just the very first thing he says is just look right at this camera and goes, "Chairs are badass."